It's 1942. You're ordered to kill a man who did nothing but exist in the wrong place at the wrong time. Refuse and your own life is over. This is your life as a Nazi executioner. What choice do you make? Your story begins in a broken Germany. Hunger at home, shame in the streets, anger in every conversation. In school, lessons shift from arithmetic to ideology, drilling loyalty into young minds. As a child, you don't choose. You repeat what you're taught. Songs, marches, obedience. By adolescence, the uniform already feels like it belongs to you. The war erupts and you're drafted, not as a hero, but as a tool. The SS doesn't ask, it commands. Training strips away hesitation. Rifles, drills, orders barked without pause. You learn fast. Mercy is weakness, and weakness is punished. By the time you're deployed, you're no longer just a soldier. You're being shaped into an executioner. The first time they hand you a prisoner, your stomach knots. He's thin, starving, barely older than you, eyes wide with a fear that clings to you. His crime? Stealing bread. Your officer steps close, presses a pistol into your hand. No theatrics, just a command. Do it. There's no space for refusal, not here. The weight of the weapon feels unnatural, as though it knows what's about to happen. Do you meet his gaze, or lower your aim, hoping for mercy you can't give? The shot cracks, sudden and final. He falls, and the silence that follows is worse than any scream. That night, you whisper excuses. I had no choice. But deep inside, you know the truth. The line has been crossed, and once crossed, it cannot be undone. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months. Executions shift from shocking to routine. At first you tremble, sickened, barely able to breathe. Later you hardly blink. Courtyards fill, trenches open. Gunfire becomes rhythm, sometimes deserters, sometimes partisans, sometimes villagers accused without proof. You stop asking questions. Questions are dangerous. The worst part? How quickly it all becomes mechanical. Line them up, aim, fire, repeat, kill or be killed. No longer a threat, but a law you live by. One morning, your officer doesn't bother with accusations. No evidence, no confessions, just a coin. A prisoner is dragged forward, trembling, and the coin decides his fate. Heads. He walks back to the line. Tails. You put him in the ground. No trial, no crime, only chance. You realize then this isn't justice. It isn't even punishment. It's spectacle, a performance of power, and you're the one forced to play your part. The coin hits the dirt, and for a second you understand the truth. If life can be erased so easily, what is yours really worth? They never tell you this part. Even your own comrades keep their distance. Necessary? Yes. Trusted? Never. Soldiers look away. Villagers cross themselves. You're not seen as a warrior. You're a shadow. And isn't that worse than death? To live feared, not for courage, but for the blood on your hands. At night, the faces return, men begging, women clutching children, voices breaking as they plead for a life you can't give. You drink to forget, but the bottle only blurs. It never erases. Your hands tremble, not from fear, but from memory. You wake soaked in sweat, heart pounding, convinced the execution is finally yours. There comes a day when you falter. Your finger lingers just above the trigger. For a heartbeat, you imagine lowering the rifle, whispering "run" under your breath. The prisoner looks at you, eyes wide, sensing your weakness, but your officer sees it too. Later, in the darkness of the barracks, he grips your collar and hisses in your ear. Next time you hesitate, you'll be the one on your knees. That warning burns deeper than any nightmare. From then on, you don't just kill the prisoner, you kill the hesitation inside yourself, or at least you try. Then comes the moment you fear most. Villagers dragged before you, accused of hiding partisans. A mother clutches her daughter, swearing innocence. You glance at her, then at your officer. His glare is colder than the rifle in your hands. Confess or die. They don't confess. The crowd waits. Once again, the choice is yours. Kill or be killed. Only now it isn't just your life at stake. It's your family, your name, your future. At first, you remember every detail, the tremor of hands, the last whispered prayer. Each execution cuts into your memory like a blade. But time erodes even horror. Dozens turn to hundreds, and the faces blur. Names vanish into numbers, tasks, procedures. Still, one thing never fades: the eyes. They pierce through every dream, reminders that behind the statistics were human beings you erased. As the war drags on, executions multiply. You're no longer killing individuals, you're feeding something vast, something monstrous. Camps rise, trains arrive, thousands disappear. You become a cog in a machine built only for annihilation. You repeat the line, just following orders. But even that lie wears thin. Officers dine while prisoners starve. They laugh while children vanish. And you see it clearly. You're not a soldier. You're a tool of cruelty itself. Not everyone goes quietly. Sometimes kneeling prisoners whisper prayers, hymns, even fragments of song. Once a man begins so softly you almost miss it. Then others join, voices trembling but steady, defiance woven into melody. The bullets end their bodies, but the song hangs in the air longer than their screams ever did. And in that moment you feel something sharper than fear, shame, because they met death with courage, and you meet life with silence. Tell me, who is truly free? Executions were only part of the system. Soon you're stationed near a camp where death is no longer a bullet, it's industrial. Prisoners vanish behind barbed wire, and chimneys pour smoke without pause. You don't trigger the mechanism, but you stand guard as it happens. And maybe that's worse, because the lie is gone. This isn't war, this is extermination. The stench clings to the wind, the unnatural silence presses on your ears, and you know exactly what it means. You tell yourself you're not directly guilty, but deep down you understand, once you guard the machine, you become part of it. And still, the war shifts. Stalingrad, Normandy, the Reich collapsing piece by piece. Executions grow rushed, chaotic, frantic. Rumors spread. The Allies are advancing. Justice is coming. So what do? Keep killing, try to run, or finally face the weight of everything you've done? It's 1945. The world burns around you, cities reduced to rubble, comrades fleeing into forests, uniforms stripped from bodies. You try to disappear, bury the past with your insignia, but whispers follow you. Executioner, killer, cursed. You know the trials are coming, and you know that for men like you, just following orders won't be enough. The war ends, but the nightmares don't. Before interrogators, you stammer the same defense. I had no choice. Kill or be killed. But do they believe you? Do you? Villagers who once feared you now spit at your feet. Children point, whispering your name like a curse. You survive, but survival feels like a sentence. Each day, you wait for the ghosts of your past to drag you under. When the Allies arrive, the truth can't be buried. Cameras show the camps, the graves, the starving survivors. The world sees what you always knew. The uniforms, the insignia, you can't escape them. Executioner is no longer a role, it's a curse. Their freedom is your prison, a life chained to what you did and what you allowed. Years pass, you marry, you father children, but the curse doesn't die with the Reich. They grow up hearing whispers. His father was one of them. At school, they're shunned. At church, avoided. You thought you survived the war, but survival isn't freedom. Survival is exile, shame, and silence. Your children inherit not your medals, but your guilt. And maybe that's the cruelest truth of all. The war didn't end with surrender. It lives on in bloodlines, in whispers, in the echo of the shots you fired. So your life ends, not in glory, but in silence. You lived, you killed, you obeyed. Would you have pulled it or taken the bullet yourself? The question lingers because history isn't only about what happened, it's about what you would have done. And that may be the most terrifying truth of all. Let me know in the comments what video you'd like to see next. And if you want more stories that force you to face history this way, subscribe, because this is only the beginning.